Okay, in this video, I am going to be looking at a file that Lisa has made, and I'm going to help her see how to make this file into an edge-to-edge design. So if you come over to the right side on the sequence, you can see there are 5 pieces of artwork. And so I can see better what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and use my colors down here at the bottom. And when I'm doing that, that's going to help me see what's going on. So the first piece of artwork is the star. I'm gonna that's I'm I'm just gonna go through and just kind of look at where each piece is. Okay, and there's this line. Okay, so this outside circle is actually the first one that I actually want to deal with. So I'm going to leave that with the number one color. Then the next circle is I'm going to make that the number two color. This inside circle, I'm going to make the number three color. I'm going to make the star right now number four. And I'm going to make this line number five. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do, so now I can kind of see where everything, what each element is. I'm going to do Control A to select everything. And if you see on the right side, you can see how everything is highlighted. And I'm going to do Control G to group them because I want them to all move together as a group. I don't want anything to get misaligned. And I'm going to, up here at the top, I'm going to modify and I'm going to origin. And that's going to put the center point of this group of objects at the 0, 0 on um, the 0 XY axis. Okay, so now that everything is moved and it's the center point is at 0, 0. I'm now going to ungroup them because I want to deal with each item individually. Now I want to be able to move things independently. So I'm going to do, you can do it a couple of ways. You can either right click and go to ungroup, or you can do Control U. So now everything is ungrouped. Now I've got to think through, how do I want this path to go? And since it's going to be an edge to edge, I've got to go from the left side to start, and then it's got to come around, and then it's going to go out the right side. So the path that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come from the left side. I'm going to take this first blue circle, I'm going to go all the way around, and then I'm going to come in to the red ring. I'm going to go all the way around, then I'm going to come in to the green ring. I'm going to come halfway down, come to the left, stitch out my star, come back out, finish the green ring, but now I've got to get to the right side. So I'm going to actually have to overstitch, and then I'm going to come out the right side. So that's the path that I want to make. Now I've got to make that happen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this, I'm going to, I'm on the right side, I'm actually going to move my sequence around, mostly for just for um, my own use. So I'm going to take down here on the bottom, this blue circle that I want to be at the top. So I'm taking control and the left. I guess it's a bracket, and I'm going to move this up until it's the first thing. And then I'm going to click on the red circle and I'm going to move control and move up until it's the second thing. Then I'm going to go to the green and I'm going to move that up one. So that's the third thing. My star's fourth, and then this line is the fifth. Okay, then, so now I've got everything moved around. I need to actually start uh, changing each of these items, and I'm going to do that over on the left side. You can see the shape tool. I also call it the edit tool. Now, if you look at this, it's going to show you all the edit nodes. And first of all, I want this part to be a straight line. So I'm going to right click on this center point and I'm going to delete it because I don't need that to be, I just need one straight line. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this first node, hold down the control key, click on the second node, left click, and I'm going to make that a line. So that way I know that this is just going to be one straight line. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here on the left side. Oh, the next thing I'm going to do actually, since they're still both highlighted, I'm going to left click, I'm going to align them, and I'm going to align the bottom. So now I know I've got one straight plane, which is what you have to have in order to have an edge-to-edge design. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is, oh, the other thing is the reason you're still seeing this um, yellow line on the right side is it's going to do this ghost purple until I finish everything I'm doing. Like if I click off of it, then all those changes are going to be made. If it really bothers you as things are going on in the middle, in the middle of things, you can right click and hit update path and it'll change that all. Okay, so now I'm going to click and drag this endpoint over to the other side. And if I want to just nudge that up, I'm going to have my regular tool, the select tool, hold down the control key and use my up and down arrows to get that lined up. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I'm going to look at the edit point. So I'm going to click on my blue circle. I'm going to click on the edit points. Okay, here's one issue. And that is, first of all, let me look at this. Okay, it is let's make sure that that's at 0, 0. Okay. Okay, so the first problem that I am going to run into is see how the start and stop point, because this is a closed shape. So I'm going to have to break this shape up, and you cannot break up a shape at the start and stop point. I'm not sure why, you just can't. So but I need this to be broken up right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my select tool and I'm going to rotate this twice 45 degrees. Now it doesn't look like I did anything, but I really did because now you can see that my start and stop point is up here. So now I can right click on this point and I can split the line, which is what I want right now. So now this does not look correct, and that's because I need to, so let me undo that, undo that, undo that. Okay, so I'm going to right click, I'm going to split the line, and I am going to come over here to this point. Oh, so okay, let's see what, I'm going to smooth this out. Okay, that's going to get us closer. And here, okay, let me come here. So what I'm trying to do is get all of my, so here I've got this edit point and you can see I've got a left, where I've got a left bar and a right bar, and then I've got this bar over here. If I go to this point and okay, so I've smoothed that. Okay, that's not what I want. Okay, let's undo this. So, okay, I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna split this line. I'm gonna go ahead and smooth out here because that's gonna get me closer. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this so that it matches back up with the original. So see how my purple line matches up with my blue line? These rings do not look like they are equally distant. That's a whole different issue, but okay. But now I've got that circle and it's done. Okay, so now I'm going to come to this red circle. I'm going to go to my select tool. I'm coming over to the transform point. Okay, so this is not actually a circle because the width and the height are not the same. So I'm going to make this 1.64, and I'm going to make this 1.64. Okay, so now those are both the same, and I am going to take that and move it to the origin. Okay, so I've moved that circle to the origin. Okay, I'm gonna look at this green circle. Okay, the green circle is in fact a circle, 1.27, 1.27. I'm gonna go ahead and move that to the origin. Okay, and now this, I'm gonna go ahead and zero that out and move that to the origin. Okay, so this is not, okay. So you can see where I've moved this star, it's not centered in that circle. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna hold down the control key and click on the green circle. And I'm going to align the center on that. Okay, it is aligned. It, I think it's just the way that shape is. So if I click on just that and I hold the control key, I can nudge it over and make it look more the way. So it looks like the points of the star are equally distant from the circle. Okay, looks pretty good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm gonna zoom in, I'm gonna I hit Z to do that. I'm gonna move this down so that it lines up with that yellow line, because that's gonna make life a lot easier later. And it still looks pretty good. Yeah, we're just gonna go with that for right now. Okay, so just to review, I've got the select tool here. If I go to the blue circle, it's 2 inches by 2 inches. It's in fact a circle, and the X and Y is at 0. The red is got the same dimensions, height and width, and it's zeroed. The green has the same dimensions and it's zeroed. Okay, and then this blue circle has the start and stop. Okay, so see how I can separate this? This is now an open shape, and that's what I want. I am not going to bring it back over top. Actually, I'm going to right click and make sure. Okay, I want snap to anchor points selected. However, the challenge with that is when you have the anchor points, when they snap together, it's going to line everything up great. But if I snapped the two parts of the circle, it's going to close the shape. And I do not want closed shapes right now. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the red circle. I'm going to right click. I'm going to split the line. And this time, and everything looks great. So I'm going to, um, actually I can click and split that. It'll make it a little bit easier to see what's going on. Don't, when everything gets put back together, the circles are going to still look like circles because I haven't messed with the handles. So everything at the end still should look okay. Okay, the third thing I'm going to do, I'm going to right click. I'm going to split the line. I'm going to separate out that. I'm going to do one more thing, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to split the line again because I need, actually, I'm going to um, split this before I separate anything. So, okay, so if you look under on the right side with this green circle, now I have two pieces of artwork. So if I go to the select tool, I've got the top part of the circle and I've got the bottom part of the circle. I want to see what's going on, so I'm going to change that bottom part of the circle to a different color, just so that I can see what's going on. The other thing that I'm going to need to do, so when we were talking about this, I'm going to come in from the left with the yellow. I'm going to go around the blue circle. I'm going to come in on the line. I'm going to go around the red circle. I'm going to come in on the line. I'm going to go around the green circle. Actually, I'm going to go around half of the green circle. I'm going to come in to the star. I'm going to come around the star. I'm going to come back out. I'm going to come down around the bottom. And then I've got to come around the top in order to go out. So I've got to make some copies. So I'm going to click back on this top green circle because that's where I'm going to come around and come back around the top a second time. So I'm going to right click, copy, right click and paste. So you can see there's two pieces of green artwork and they're both this round circle. Again, I want to be able to kind of see the difference between the two. So this second one I'm going to change to color number 9 just so that I've got, even though they're sitting right on top of each other, you're not going to really be able to see the difference, but that's going to help me. Okay, now I can come back to the green circle. I'm going to go to my edit points, so E, and now I'm going to take this start point and I'm going to move it off. So that way, as I'm putting pieces together, it will all work. Okay, so now I've got my green circle all taken care of. So now I've got to work on the star. So I'm going to click on the star. Okay, notice that my start and end point is right where I want this line to be split. I'm going to zoom in, Z to zoom, and then I'm going to zoom in. Oh, hold on. Z to zoom, and I'm going to come in here. All right. I'm going to click on this and see if there happens to be a start point there, and there isn't. Okay, so I'm going to come to the right. Well, it doesn't really matter, either side. Right click, and I'm going to split the line. And when I do that, it made the start and end points right here where where I had come off to the side. So I'm going to click on that endpoint, right click and delete that one. So now I've got my start point and my end point. And again, it's okay if they're split right now. At the end, when I get everything put together, it's going to look just fine. But I need to have them split so that I don't close any shapes. When you're connecting a line, you cannot have a closed shape. Okay, the last thing I need is I've got to split this yellow line into the pieces that I want. So I'm coming from the left, I'm coming to this blue circle, and I'm coming around. So I'm going to Z to zoom, I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to click on the yellow line, and I know that I've got that because it's purple. Now I'm looking at where that blue circle is going to be coming in. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to split the line right there. It's a little bit off, but it's going to be okay because I can move that line and get it where it needs to go. Okay, so let's zoom back out. Okay, so I'm going to come in, I'm going to come around, and then I need to come, I'm going to join back up with this yellow line. So I'm going to Z to zoom and come in here. I see where this line's going to run into it. Right, make that purple, right click, split the line there. Okay, so now it's going to come in, going to come around on that red. So now I need to come into the inside circle. I'm going to hit Z to zoom. I'm going to zoom in. I can see where this needs to match up. I want to get that yellow line. when it's purple, that's the line that's being edited. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna split the line. Okay, so it's gonna come in, I'm gonna come around, I'm gonna I'm gonna come around half. So now I need to come inside. I've got another so let's talk this through. I'm gonna come around, I'm gonna come inside on this yellow line, I'm gonna come around the star, and then I need to go back out. So that means I need a copy of that yellow line. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to zoom in with the point of the star and the circle. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to right click. Oh, actually, I'm going to click on the yellow. So now it's purple. I know I can edit it. I'm going to right click. I'm going to split the line there. Then going to come where it's going to hit the star. I'm going to right click. I'm going to split the line there. Okay. Now you can see because I split that line, I've got a couple of things going on. I've got here, so now let's see what I've done. If I click on this left segment, all of these are colored yellow, but they're all separate things. So now we're going to start coloring things so that way we can see what's happening. So I'm going to change this to number 12. I'm going to click on the one to the right, make that number 13. And I'm just doing this so I can just see each individual segment. So I'm clicking on the next one. I'm going to make that number 14. I'm going to click on this one and make it number 15. I don't need this line in the center, so I'm going to click on this and hit the delete and get rid of it. Okay, this is the segment that I'm actually going to need to, I'm going to need to not copy, because I'm going to come in. Actually, I'm going to need to copy it, and then it's going to go out. So, so I've got this last segment, and I'm going to make that 16. Okay, so I need to make one copy of this tiny little segment. I'm going to Z to zoom in. Now I'm going to Z to zoom in. Okay, so this one tiny little segment, I'm going to Control C to copy it, Control V to paste it. On the right side, you can see how there's two pieces of artwork that are exactly the same, and they're also the same color. I'm just going to change one of those so that way I can see the difference. And I'm going to go to the edit points, and I'm going to move that edit point. Actually, I need each of these. Okay, see how I've got a curve there? I don't want that to be curved. So if I hold down the control key on both of these, see how they're both highlighted? I'm going to right click and make those line segments. So now that's all straight. And I'm going to go ahead and do that with, click on this left, hold down the control key, click on the right. I'm going to make that a line segment. And I'm going to do that with my other pieces that I want to be lines. So on the right side, see how that's a square? So I know that's a line. It's got a line node. I'm going to click on this left one, and I'm going to make that a line node. I'm going to click on both of these, make them line nodes. I'm going to click on both left. I'm holding down the control key to select both of these, and I'm going to make those line nodes. I'm clicking on the left, holding down the control key, clicking on the right, left click, line nodes. Okay, so now all of those are line nodes. Now if I zoom back in here, okay, so you can see if I come in, I'm coming down from that circle, I can come in, I can go around my star, and then it's going to come back out and I can go to this line. Okay, so now I can start connecting things. The one thing that I am going to do before I start connecting things. So at the end of the day, the part of this that needs to line up are all of the these line segments. So so I'm on my select tool at the top, and I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to select all of these line segments except for that black one. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to align the vertical center. So that way I know, nope, that's not what I wanted. What did I do here? Let me zoom in. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to let's align the top of those. Okay. So now I know that these are all aligned. I'm going to Z to zoom in, and it's really hard to see. Okay. Those should be lined up pretty well with that star. Okay. All right. Now let's start connecting things. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in to, so in a perfect world, my endpoint would actually be the one that's moved, but unfortunately I couldn't do that. It's going to be fine. All right, I'm going to the select tool. I've got my left line. I want to connect. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I am going to take this circle and I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to move my, oh, I don't want those both selected at the same time. Okay, now I'm going to move my end point down. I'm going to move my start point over. Okay, and because on the if I right click to snap to anchor points, now the end point, and unfortunately you can't, like each line, you can only see the nodes for that line. So I've got, let me zoom out a little bit. This endpoint is touching this start point. I'm going to go to the select tool. I'm going to select this first one. I'm going to hold down the control key and select that blue circle. And when I hit, if I do Control T to connect, so there's two ways, Control T, or you can right click, you can go to Utility, and you can go to Connect. Either way, it does the same thing. When I do this, what's going to happen is they're both going to change to the same color, and it's going to become one line together. Those two lines are now connected. So I'm going to go to Connect, and you can see that if you look on the left side here, now now the way that line exists is it's coming from the left and it comes around. Okay, the next thing I need to do is now I've got to connect it to this line here. So I'm going to zoom in so that we can see what's going on. And what I think I'm going to do is I am going to, because I need to overlap my my lines. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my edit points, and I can't bring this edit point up. Well, I can, oh yes I can, because it's not the end point. As long as it's not the end point, I can take, oh, except I've got this point here that I've got to worry about. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the start point here. I'm going to bring it down to the end of the circle. And because I've got, again, if you right click, I've got the anchor point snapping. So what's happening is it's snapping to that anchor point. I'm going to zoom back out so we can see what's going on. I've got my select tool because I am connecting one entire piece to another, one line to another line. So I've got this blue line, hold down Control. I'm going to click on the second piece. Doesn't look like anything happened, but if you look in the sequence view, see how I've got the second one selected. I'm going to Control T, and now that second line is going to connect and it's going to turn blue. Okay, so now I've got this connected and it's turned blue. I'm going to zoom back in and I'm going to go to the edit points. I'm going to go to this left edit point and I'm going to snap it over top. And what's going to happen when I do that, okay, that circle looks like a circle again. This line looks like a line. So now we've got to do this again. Okay, if I click on the edit nodes, here's my start point. It comes in, it comes around, and it goes to the right. And there's my end point. So now we're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to click on the red circle. I'm going to move that end point because I don't, I can't overlap my points. I'm going to take this, the start point, and I'm going to bring it down and it's going to snap to that previous, it's going to snap to the line that we've been working on. I'm going to come up to the select tool. I'm going to select my first item, hold down the control key, select my second item. When I hit Control T, this is all going to turn blue and it's all going to become the same line. You can see now it's all the same line. So now I need to connect, and if I hit the edit points, so here's my start point, it's coming around, it comes over, it comes around. So now I need to now I've got to connect it to this line. So I'm going to take my start point, I'm going to snap it down. I'm going to go to my select tool. I'm going to select the first, the line that we've been working on, hold down the control key, select the second one. Again, it doesn't look like it's connected because it's sitting on the inside, but if you look on the right, I've got this first one selected and I've got that second one selected. Control T, everything's the same color. If I go to the edit points, I can now take this edit point that we've been working on, I can snap it up above, and now that circle looks like a circle again. Okay, now I need to get this line connected to the upper circle of the inside circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in so I can see what's going on. I'm going to select this half line that's down below and I'm going to move that off so that way that's not going to get in the way. And I've got, those are sitting right on top of each other, so those are ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to select the big shape that we've been working on, hold down the control key, click on that upper circle, and I'm going to Control T. And now we're connected to the upper half of the circle. Now I've got to come in to my star. So I'm going to zoom in and I am going to select this line. So this line, I've got to connect to the upper circle. So I'm going to do a couple of things. First, I'm going to click on my edit points. I'm going to move, I'm on my bottom line. I'm going to move that out because I don't want things overlapping when they're not ready to be. And now I'm going to go ahead and move this line just a little bit so that way I can connect it where I want to connect it. Okay, we're going to zoom back out. I have to use my select tool in order to connect things. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on my big shape that we've been working on. I'm going to come in and I guess I better zoom in so we can see. I'm going to hold down the control key. I'm going to click on that small little line, Control T. It's turned blue, so now I know it's all part of the same shape. And if I hit my edit points, you can see that that's where my end point is now. Okay, so now I need to come in and connect to the star. So I'm going to take this endpoint and I'm going to connect it, or I'm not connecting it, I'm overlapping it with this edit point here. Zoom back out so we can see what's happening. Use my select tool. I'm going to select the big shape, hold down the control key, select the inner star, control T. That's turned blue, so it's all part of the same line now. Okay, I'm going to zoom back in. Now I've got to connect that line to this black line. So I'm going to look at my edit nodes. I can see that this is already overlapped, which is great, so we're good to go. So I'm going to zoom out so we can see what's going on. Okay, I'm going to click my big shape that we've been working on. Zoom in a little bit so I can see. Hold down the control key, click on that small shape, control T. Okay, now that line has been connected. So now I've got to connect this shape to the bottom half of the circle. So I'm going to click, let me zoom in so that way we can see better. I'm going to click on this endpoint. I'm going to drag it down so that it snaps to this lower circle. So I'm going to I'm going to my select tool. I've got my outside shape. Hold down the control key. I'm going to do the bottom part of the circle, control T. Okay, so now that has been connected. It's part of this line. Now we're going to make this look the way it should look. Okay, I know where this upper point, that's in the original position. So if I take this one down below and I come up, it's going to snap and it's going to be where it should be. Similarly, if I take this lower point and I come over here, it's going to snap and it's going to, when I click off of it, everything looks just like it should. Okay, now I've got to connect the overlap ring here. So I've got this here. I'm going to take this start point and I'm going to just come down until it snaps to the end point of the line that I've been working on. I'm going to go to my select tool. I'm going to select the big shape that I've been working on. You can see now we've only got 3 pieces of artwork left. So I'm going to take this piece of artwork. I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to, because this is so close, it's going to be a little bit hard to get to it. So I'm going to just hold down the control key and click on it there. Control T. And now that part is all connected. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to go to my edit points. I need to take this edit point down below and I need to have it snap to the place above. And if I zoom out, you can see that it all looks connected. Okay, if I go to my edit points, you can see that it ends here. So I've got one more line that I need to connect. I need to connect this. I'm taking my big shape. I'm going to control and select my yellow line, control T, and now this whole shape has been connected. So how is this going to look in the end? So I've got a couple of things that I need to make sure happen at this point. Okay, I need to make sure that, looks like I'm going to zoom in over here because it looks like I've got a couple of nodes that are not overlapped, but okay. So I want to make sure that this first point and this end point, so I'm going to click on the start point. I'm going to click on the end point, and I might go ahead and click on these ones in between. So I'm going to click on this. If I click and drag, it's going to select anything that's in this box is going to select. And I'm going to make sure that these are all aligned on the bottom. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to click and drag. And you can see that they're just a little bit off. So I'm going to go ahead and align all of these to the bottom. Okay. And now my start point, let's see. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and select all of these across just to make sure everything's aligned, because it will not work as an edge to edge if the start point and the end point are not aligned on the same plane. So let's align these on the top. Undo that. Select all of these. And I'm going to align these all on the top. These all aligned on the top. Let's try one more time just to make sure. Align all of these on the top. Okay. Okay, so now this is all one line, and because the start point and the end point are aligned on the same plane, this is all going to stitch out in one pass. How do I know that? If I go up to the preview, I'm going to select this. It's not going to preview unless you change this to stitches. So I'm going to be on my select tool. I've got to be on my select tool on the top. I'm going to click on stitches. So now now I can do a preview of the stitch out. And when I start it, oops, let me slow this down. Let's do this again. You can see how the whole thing stitches out. So I hope that helps. I know that was kind of shooting a fire hose to your question, but in order to do this, you have to have all of your closed shapes broken into so that they are a line instead of a closed shape. And then you have to connect each of those lines to make the path that you want to make. So I hope this was helpful, and I know this is a lot, but once you get the hang of select, figuring out your path, breaking it down into the line segments that you need, and then connecting those line segments in the right order, you will be able to do this.